Hello, you're tuned in to Word Power, the podcast where we learn new English words every day.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today, we're diving into a topic that's pretty fundamental to, well, just about everything we do, influence and leadership. It's a big one, Jane, and something we touched upon in episode 3 when we first discussed Persuade.
It really is, Zia, and I think it's worth revisiting, especially when we think about the impact we want to have, whether it's in our personal lives, our careers, or our communities. Persuade felt like just scratching the surface, didn't it?
Absolutely. Persuade. Let's start there again. For anyone who might have missed it or just needs a refresher, to persuade someone means to cause them to do something or believe something, especially after a period of discussion or argument. It implies using reason, facts, or emotional appeal to win someone over.
Exactly. And often, it's about aligning interests. You're not forcing them, you're guiding them to a conclusion that benefits everyone, or at least that you genuinely believe is the best path. The pronunciation for persuade is per-esnoeoid, and spelling Persuade. Remember that sua part, it's a bit unusual, like in suave or suasion.
That's a great tip, Jane. Now, how does persuade differ from some other words people often confuse it with? Let's kick off with convince. What's the core difference there?
Convince. Very closely related. While persuade is often about getting someone to do something, convince is more about getting someone to believe something. You convince someone of a fact or a truth. You persuade them to take an action. So I might convince you that my idea is sound and then persuade you to invest in it.
That's a really clear distinction. So, convince is often a precursor to persuade. You need to convince someone of the why before you can persuade them on the what. For pronunciation, convince is Vince, and spelling Convince. The seng at the end often trips people up. It makes a sound like in prince or fence.
Perfect. And in leadership, both are absolutely vital. You need to convince your team that the vision is achievable and then persuade them to put in the effort to get there. It's a 1-2 punch of logic and action.
Couldn't agree more. Now, let's move to a more emotive word, inspire. This feels like a higher level of influence, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Inspire is about filling someone with the urge or ability to do something, especially something creative or positive. It's less about facts and more about emotions, values, and vision. An inspiring leader doesn't just tell you what to do, they make you want to do it, and they make you feel capable of achieving great things.
That connection to emotions is key. When you inspire someone, you're not just moving their mind, you're moving their spirit. The pronunciation for inspire is inspire, and spelling Inspire. It follows a pretty standard pattern, each with the end like fire or wire.
Right, it's about igniting that inner drive. Think about historical figures or even coaches who inspire their teams to perform beyond what they thought was possible. That's true influence.
A powerful differentiator. Next up, a word that's very common in corporate settings, promote. Now, this has a few meanings, but let's focus on its influence angle.
Okay, so promote can mean to advance someone to a higher position, which is a form of influence in itself, but it can also mean to support or actively encourage something to happen or develop. So you promote an idea or you promote a cause, you're trying to elevate its standing or bring it to wider attention.
It's about advocacy, isn't it? You're using your influence to give something or someone a boost. For pronunciation, promote is pro-mo-te, and spelling Promote. Pretty straightforward, but remember it's more not mo or mo.
Spot on. A good leader often promotes the strengths of their team members or promotes innovative ideas within the organization. It's about fostering growth, which is a fantastic use of influence.
Building on that, let's talk about the verb lead. This is perhaps the most direct word when we talk about leadership itself. What does it really mean to lead?
To lead is to guide someone or something, often by going in front. It's about showing the way, setting direction, and taking responsibility. It implies a sense of direction and purpose. A leader is someone others follow, either because they have to or, more effectively, because they want to.
And that distinction, have to versus want to, is crucial for ethical influence. For pronunciation, lead is LEIT, and spelling Lead. Be careful not to confuse it with lead the metal, which is pronounced L.
Great point about the homograph. Effective leadership isn't just about having a title. It's about demonstrating the path forward, being a role model, and empowering others to move in that direction with you. It's a very active form of influence.
Now, let's shift gears a bit and look at words that carry more negative connotations, or at least suggest a different kind of power dynamic. First up, dominant.
Ah, dominant. This one really highlights the difference between healthy influence and something else. To be dominant means to be more important, powerful, or successful than others. In the context of leadership, it often implies asserting control or power over others, sometimes to the point of suppression.
It implies a hierarchy where one is distinctly above the others, often through force or sheer presence, rather than through inspiring or persuading. The pronunciation for dominant is dominant, and spelling Dominant. Remember the I in the middle? It's not dominant.
Exactly. While a leader might need to be assertive, being purely dominant can stifle creativity, breed resentment, and ultimately hinder genuine influence. People might obey, but they won't necessarily be engaged or committed.
That's a critical distinction. And speaking of negative connotations, let's tackle manipulate. This word often comes up when we talk about power and influence in a very dark way.
Manipulate is a word that should always raise a red flag. It means to control or influence a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. It's about subtle, often dishonest, control for one's own benefit, regardless of the other person's best interests.
This is where influence crosses the line into exploitation. Instead of guiding or empowering, you're pulling strings behind the scenes without transparency or genuine concern for others. The pronunciation for manipulate is me neved guan sindu chitu in.
Na ongwan. Neflu me mandika. Turn madnin cha. Mamunim nivahan. Yulime. Thiemirhin. Foot hanana. Ia nechane. Hishwa. That's a gratical distinction. And speaking of negative connotations, let's tackle manipulate. This word often comes up when we talk about power and influence in a very dark way.
Manipulate is a word that should always raise a red flag. It means to control or influence a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. It's about subtle, often dishonest control for one's own benefit, regardless of the other person's best interests.
This is where influence crosses the line into exploitation. Instead of guiding or empowering, you're pulling strings behind the scenes without transparency or genuine concern for others. The pronunciation for manipulate is manipulate, and spelling manipulate. Note the pu sound, it's not manipulate. Absolutely. While persuade and convince are about building consensus and mutual understanding, manipulate is about exploitation and deceit. A manipulated person often feels used or betrayed once they realize what's happened. It's the opposite of ethical leadership.
So, looking at all these words together, we see a spectrum, don't we? From inspiring, genuinely leading and promoting, through convincing and persuading, all the way to dominant and manipulative. It really helps to clarify our intentions when we're trying to influence.
It really does. And I think understanding these nuances empowers us to choose our approach carefully. Do we want to inspire our team to innovate, or do we merely want to dominate them into compliance? The outcome and the relationship will be vastly different.
Precisely. And for our listeners, when you encounter these words in your reading or conversations, really pause and think about the context. What kind of influence is being described? Is it ethical? Is it effective? Is it building trust or eroding it?
When you're trying to use these words yourself, think about the message you're sending. If you say you persuaded someone, it implies a respectful discussion. If you manipulated them, well, that's a confession, isn't it?
Exactly. Language is powerful, and the words we choose to describe influence and leadership reflect our understanding and, frankly, our character. So always aim to inspire, to lead with integrity, to convince with truth, and to persuade with respect.
And avoid any inclination towards dominance or manipulation. True, lasting influence comes from connection, not control. What a journey through these words, Zia. I feel like we've not just learned vocabulary, but also gained some ethical clarity.
Absolutely, Jane. It's about empowering our listeners to be more intentional with their words and their actions. So, next time you're faced with a situation where you need to exert influence, remember these terms and ask yourself, am I building up or am I breaking down?
A fantastic way to put it. Thank you for joining us today, everyone, on this deep dive into influence and leadership vocabulary. Keep practicing these words both in thought and in speech, and you'll become a more articulate and, importantly, a more ethical leader.
That's all for episode 11. We hope you feel more equipped to understand and use these powerful words responsibly. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep influencing for good.
Hello, you're tuned in to Word Power, the podcast where we learn new English words every day.